Welcome. I'm Brent and I'm one of the founders of Kun Kakis or Kun Living. That's the brand name. And today we'll be talking about sleep apnea and what it is, how it affects you, and how you can actually combat it if you do have it. Funny enough, I do have some friends who have sleep apnea and I am unable to help them to overcome it just because I'm so close to them, so they don't give a shit about what I'm saying. But sleep apnea is a big issue for those who have it. Well, before I continue, I just want to point out that I am not a doctor or a medical professional. Well, I am just very enthusiastic about sleep health and the science of sleep, as well as other things like performance and fitness related content. So if you're more inclined to more performance-based content like gym, powerlifting kind of stuff, strongman kind of thing, then head over to Active Intel, and that's where more of my performance-based content will be on. If you're looking for more sleep content and sleep science related content, then you're on the right page. So welcome to the podcast / YouTube video, I guess. I'm just recording this audio. And I'm going to see where I'm going to put this. I'm really not sure. But it's just that I researched this years ago and I just recently researched it again, just because I realized that it's one of the biggest issues when it comes to sleep. And so I thought I'd share a little bit about sleep apnea. If what I say is wrong, please feel free to comment about it. Give me feedback. I'll love to stand corrected, if you will. So essentially, sleep apnea occurs when the upper airway becomes partially and completely blocked during sleep, and this obstruction leads to pauses or complete stopping of breathing during your sleep, resulting in hypoxia or lower blood oxygen in levels in your blood, and your brain will, your subconscious will wake your conscious brain up and to tell you to, hey, wake up, which leads you to fragmented sleep and just terrible sleep records. And if you have not known by now, you should have a full bout of around 90 minutes of sleep, which is the full 4 stages of your sleep cycle to have a good night's rest. That's why, by the way, if you're going to take a nap, try not to take more than 30 to 60 minutes. I would say 30 minutes the most, because you don't want to hit a full cycle of sleep, because once you do that, your circadian rhythm will change and you might not be able to sleep during the night. Just an FYI. So, fun facts. About 15% of Singapore's population is slightly underdiagnosed with sleep apnea, which means more people will have actually sleep apnea than you think. About 15 to 20% of Singaporeans have sleep apnea. That's quite a bit, no? That's about 1/4 of the population. And there are 3 main causes of sleep apnea. I will say 2. The third one's in between these 2. But the first one is OSA, or obstructive sleep apnea. This kind of sleep apnea is caused by the relaxation of the throat muscles. When I mean relaxation, I do mean weak. So therefore, when you're during your sleep, it's unable to open up to allow air to go through into your lungs to breathe it out. And the second one is called central sleep apnea. And this type of sleep apnea is not as common, but it's caused because your brain refuses to breathe, if you will. It doesn't send a proper signal to allow your muscles to contract air into the body. And the third one is actually complex sleep apnea, and it's actually a mix of the first and second one. So you actually have OSA, or obstructive sleep apnea, at first, and then you develop central sleep apnea halfway through. And yeah, if you don't know by now, first of all, we actually breathe not because we need oxygen. The body doesn't know how much oxygen we need per se, as in, it's not like we know, like, oh, okay, we need 50% oxygen right now. Oh, breathe faster, we need more oxygen. The reason we breathe faster, or we actually breathe at all, is because the body knows that there's a heightened concentration of carbon dioxide in the body and it needs to expel it. Therefore, you only breathe because your body realizes there's too much carbon dioxide in the bloodstream. That's it, not oxygen. And if you're doing performance-based exercises, that means a lot, because it affects your VO2 max and it affects the way you lose fat and things like that. Because, well, I'm going off track here, but technically, losing fat is a subset of losing carbon, because carbon is just part of the molecule of carbon dioxide, you see. So it's carbon molecule, and that's why usually when you lose weight, you where does the fat go? It actually goes through a whole energy transfer system and it becomes carbon dioxide. You breathe it out or you take a fart. That's where your fat goes. But anyways, back to sleep apnea. So there are a few symptoms of sleep apnea, and the common ones will be obviously loud snoring, which I would just like to point out that snoring doesn't necessarily mean you have sleep apnea, but if you have sleep apnea, there's a high chance that you will snore. There's a disconnect between these two words, just to let you know. Most often not, you will gasp for air during the night, or you actually pause for a couple of seconds and you realize the person doesn't breathe. And that's a really scary thing because you could have just drowned in that sense to death. Yeah. So those are a few symptoms of sleep apnea. Obviously, you have others. For example, waking up really groggy in the morning, you will have just a high immense bout of you just falling asleep during the daytime. Like insomnia, actually. One of the symptoms of insomnia is not just that you can't sleep during at night. It's that during the daytime you want to sleep. So that's just part of it. And how do you know if you have sleep apnea? First of all, you don't know until you see a somnologist or your GP, which I would highly recommend to always visit the medical professional before you diagnose yourself. Because if you diagnose yourself, it's obviously going to be cancer somehow or the other, right? Not even like alternative medicine like TCM and things like that. Just go to a science-based medical doctor, get yourself diagnosed, and then from then on, you can draw your path out on which kind of solutions you want to take, right? But for those who are still wondering whether if you might have it or not, because you might snore during the night, I do snore sometimes, because obviously if I drink alcohol, I'll snore, which you'll find out that if you drink alcohol, you will actually snore because your throat muscles relax, which I'll explain more later. But there are a couple factors for sleep apnea, and the most obvious one, and by the way, if you have this, there's a high chance you have sleep apnea, and that's obesity. Because excess weight leads your fat deposit to be deposited along the upper airway area of your throat, which is the pharynx area, the muscles there, and narrowing it and making it more prone to blockage during sleep. That's why you usually see heavier individuals, they tend to snore more because the fat deposited along the visceral fat lining, which is the fat surrounding organs, it gets thicker and it makes it harder to breathe. The next thing I want to point out is age. Older people do have higher chances of developing sleep apnea because their muscles are weak. That's why I always encourage older individuals to take up strength training in some form or the other. You don't have to deadlift 200 kilograms. All I'm saying is to carry weight in all shapes and forms to improve your overall stability, posture, mobility, and so much more. Next, we have gender. Men are at a higher risk as compared to women. Neck circumference, which is of course obvious because the thicker your neck, the more muscles you have in this sense. Therefore, you have a higher chance of not developing sleep apnea. Genetics and family history do play a part as well. Smoking, alcohol, and sedative use do increase the chance because they relax the throat muscles and obstructing the airways. So the only way, like I've said, to diagnose sleep apnea is actually to do a sleep study, or if your doctor is experienced enough, all they need to do is to figure out certain symptoms and to look at your medical and family history. But if you do go through a sleep study, which is known, by the way, as a polysomnography, you will go through a whole range of tests, including eye movements, respiratory effort, VO2 max, airflow, heart rate, eye movements, oh, I said that already, brain activity, muscle activity, and blood oxygen levels, which is your VO2. Essentially, it's trying to figure out that what your body is going through during your sleep, and that determines whether you have severe sleep apnea or not. And after this, the doctor knows what kind of treatment to go forward to. And by the way, if I have not said this enough, fragmented sleep is one of the worst sleeps you can get. 3 hours of sleep being disrupted with a 10 to 30 minutes interval, or even less, maybe 2 to 5 minutes, can cause a whole series of compounded bad events down the road, down the day even. you might as well don't sleep. Literally, if you don't have your whole full bout of your 4 cycles from 6 to 9 hours a night, you might as well just don't sleep. Your body just can't rejuvenate. The gray matter, I say white matter, I can't remember, but your head can't replenish itself, which means you lose memory. You don't have the brain function to do motor or analytical skills. You're just off. You're just like the Walking Dead, essentially, right? So, anyways, if you do have sleep apnea, the doctor will prescribe you certain things. First one is called CPAP, which is called continuous positive airway pressure, and it involves using a machine to force air down your throat with positive pressure coming from the machine to open the airways to allow oxygen to go down. But of course, if it becomes uncomfortable or if the patient cannot breathe out because of the positive pressure coming in from the machine, you can use BiPAP, which is the same thing, but it's called bilevel positive airway pressure. The machine just adjusts the amount of pressure between the machine and the patient. The next one is called oral appliances, which essentially is like a jaw kind of device where they reposition the lower jaw or tongue during sleep so their tongue doesn't fall back. But hands down, the next point, in my opinion, which is the life-changing one, it's not the most obvious or not the most direct route to take, but it's the best and it's the heaviest weightage one, which is called lifestyle changes. And most importantly, weight loss. That's right, weight loss. Like I mentioned earlier, obesity is the biggest cause of sleep apnea. By losing weight, you take out a huge chunk of the probability to cause sleep apnea. And by the way, obesity, losing weight, when I say lose weight, I mean lose fat. All right, you want to retain your muscle mass, you want to lose fat. The extra visceral fat not just increases the chance of cardiovascular diseases like stroke or cardiac arrest, but it brings on a whole bunch of unnecessary things like diabetes and even colon cancer and many, many other types of cancer that comes along with obesity. And by the way, when I mean obesity, I don't just mean people who look big. As long as your visceral fat level is high, that's bad. Right? BMI is great if you're an average person who doesn't really train much. That's why I don't really go by the BMI, because many people I know actually do train and do have heavier muscle mass, and their BMI actually just goes off the chart because of their muscle mass. But as long as you have a high visceral fat percentage, you increase your mortality rate and the morbidity rate by so much, and it's just not worth it. So, you know the term skinny fat? You are actually fat and you could be actually obese, but because it's all stored viscerally, you don't see it, rather than subcutaneously, which is behind the skin, you don't know that you're actually facing a lot of problems because of the amount of fat you carry. So yes, by losing fat, you actually lose more than just solving your sleep apnea issue. You literally drastically reduce the chance of you getting certain types of cancer. You reduce the chance of you living a poorer quality of life. Overall, it feels greater to be lean. I'm not saying you need to have a six-pack, which, by the way, a single-digit fat percentage could be dangerous as well. All in all, if you're obese, lose the fat, right? And that's the biggest thing. If you're too lazy and you don't want to put in the work, which you should, surgery is and should be the last case. And if it's very severe, surgery will be the first option. Essentially, surgical procedures will remove excess tissues, or they will reshape the jaw. Now, how does this tie in with a mattress? Well, the one thing that a somnologist or the doctor will recommend is actually to sleep on your side. And the biggest reason for that is because if you sleep on your back, your tongue might fall towards your throat due to gravity during sleep, because you don't control it subconsciously. And if you have a weak throat muscle, you can't breathe because of your tongue, because it's blocking the airways. So that's why they recommend sleeping on your sides, and it does help a ton. However, if you're not used to sleeping on your sides, it could be an issue. So where do I come in from here? So that's why when individuals do step into our store, we would actually first assess if they have certain medical issues. Then we will start to lead them to certain types of mattresses. So, for example, if you do have sleep apnea and you want to sleep on your sides, but you just find your shoulders very, very painful, like you're having a cold shoulder, or it's just lodged up into a position when it's just so uncomfortable, choose a latex mattress. I will recommend 2 to 3 inches thick minimally. If you can go for full bread latex mattress, high density will be recommended using the downlope process, DUNLOP, rather the Telele process. Telele process mattresses tend to be more expensive, at the same time softer. Obviously they can tweak it, but then the price just shoots up. So in general, download process latexes do have a soft inner core with a firmer outer layer. So you do still have the pressure relieving properties of latex. At the same time, it supports you during your side sleep. So that's why I love latex a lot. Two downsides of latex: it's expensive, and if your bed is made up of full latex, you don't have the rigid support. You give and take certain things. So that's why many people actually go for half coconut fiber, half latex bundle, where it's all natural, so it's hypoallergenic. It's firm with strong base because it's a coconut fiber, especially old coconut fiber. Coconut fiber made from old coconut husk. That with at least 2 to 3 inches of latex will be perfect. They will, however, be more expensive in general compared to hybrid mattresses, but I swear they are worth it. I've slept on a couple for a couple of weeks and I love it. It's just too expensive to bring home. I slept in the store, but it's great. It's a great material. So that's where the mattress comes in and plays a part. I always mention a mattress can never solve your health issues. It should, however, not degrade any issues that you already have, and it should alleviate your comfort and your postural health. That's what a mattress should do. And of course, many people, I've realized for the past couple of years, always take a mattress as if it's another piece of furniture. I beg to differ. I really don't agree with that. A mattress is a tool for sleep, and you should choose something that can benefit you. It's like how you don't want to wear a cross trainer to a marathon run, or neither will you wear a pair of running shoes for a heavy squat. It's out of the equation. It's wrong. Can you do it? Sure, you can. But then why don't professional athletes do it? Because it's not optimal. It's just not optimal. That's why people, when they tell me that, when they say they can sleep anywhere, they wake up fine. First of all, I totally agree with you, because some individuals can. But most often or not, it's because you're so numb to a poor quality of sleep and so numb to what good sleep feels that you think it's normal. I don't agree with this. And based on many experiences I've had with previous guests in store, myself personally, I've been through a couple rounds of injury, a torn TFCC in my right hand. I have an alpha musculoskeletal decompression. I have a strain in my ACL. I have golfer's elbow. Due to training and all that. So I do understand when I sleep on a firmer mattress, my God, it plays a huge deal. So that's why choosing a mattress, it's really important whether you have sleep apnea or not. Changes the way you feel in the morning. It changes the way you act in the morning. It changes your emotion. It changes everything. Because I cannot stress this enough, sleep is so detrimental, or it's so important to one's health, that too much of it or a lack of it can literally kill you. So that's why I've taken this time to do this video / podcast / audio. And that's what the whole vision of Kun is to actually help people sleep better, especially in countries like Singapore, which we have fast-paced lives. How do we plan our routine and schedule so that we have optimal amounts of sleep? How can we plan so that we precision engineer sleep into our lives? Because I do get it that even the Health Promotion Board says we need 7 to 9 hours for an adult between 21 years old to 65 years old. I really feel that this life is just too dynamic to just say you need 7 to 9 hours of sleep. As a personal trainer myself, I have certain principles that I follow when I train my clients, but I cannot do it for everyone, because everyone have different phases in life. Everyone don't have that 1 to 1.5 hours to train with me. They don't have the luxury to come and find me. They don't have the luxury to have a good gym to train in. They don't have the luxury to even walk sometimes. Some people are handicapped, and just so you know, we are all temporarily able. One day we'll be handicapped. How are we going to go past all these constraints? And that's where Kun's in. We take science-based knowledge and we take real-life experiences, we merge them together to select and choose the right path, the right mattress, and the right routine and protocol for you so that you can potentially increase the probability of having at least 80% of your life having a good night's rest. That's why if you're hearing this sleep apnea podcast / okay, fuck it, I'm going to say it again. If you're hearing this today, you made the right choice, because most people that sell mattresses sell it as a furniture, and I fucking hate it. You shouldn't do it that way. You shouldn't. It's not a furniture. It might look like one, but it's not. It's a tool. You don't use a hammer for every single situation that you need it. Not every situation is a nail. You gotta be dynamic when it comes to different situations. And one of those situations is your sleep. And you shouldn't choose a generic mattress because someone says a firmer mattress means it's good for you. Even though yes, science and research has shown that a medium firm to a firm mattress is actually good for you, it really depends on the individual. Material and the firmness makes up about 70% of a good mattress. The other percent is the other 30% is comfort. If you have a 0 on your comfort grade, then you only got 70%. If you scored full marks on the 70% on the material and the firmness, that's not good enough, man. It's not good enough. So that's why if you do have sleep apnea, first of all, talk to your doctor. They should actually recommend you on certain mattress types. In Kun, in our store right now, we actually have all the types of mattress in a modern day mattress, from a Bonell spring, individual pocket spring, solid foam, full latex, half latex, hybrid, a mixture of everything, coconut husks, and everything. So you'll be sure that you will have the right one for you. The question is, who can help you select the right one? That's us. Anyways, thanks for watching, or thanks for listening to this podcast. I hope you guys pick up something, and I hope you forgive my impromptu-ness in this episode, because it just popped up in my head, because I just feel that many people just don't give a shit about where they sleep on, and I think they should start giving a shit. But anyways, thanks for watching. Do drop us a comment or feedback if you feel that I said something that's wrong or offended you. Let me know. Or if you think that I should explore certain other topics or certain other things, please let me know. And hope you guys have a good night's rest. Sleep tight, and don't let the bed bugs bite. Ciao.